That's Mike.
That's Toya.
And this is Tech Beats and Bytes.
So, an exciting day today. I'm back.
Whoop,
I know y'all
whoop.
missed me last week.
Not really, because it was a good Stir-Up Sisters takeover. I'm just saying.
Wow. So, Toya has obviously just invested into Insta awnings, automatic shades, 20 degrees colder.
That's right. It's summertime. You got to make sure you protect it.
I didn't know you had stock in Insta awnings. All shade, all shade. Had to go to Philly. Wanted to get a little bit of new energy, but it was good to get away. You guys did do a great job.
Thank you.
I was watching from afar. I was drunk, but I was watching.
We were trying to hold it down. Tasha was, she was trying to make sure she had her presence on point.
Right.
It was her first time.
I only heard about 4 or 5 things. I was just making sure. I heard Sylvester did a really good job, though.
Yeah.
Shout
But
out to FSU alumni.
Right. You know how the bros do.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So today we have a brief intro. You guys know we try to do company spotlights and we try to introduce different companies and different projects that are going on in the community and events.
Yeah.
So the doctor is here with us today. If you could please just give us a brief intro so the audience knows exactly who you are, and we'll go ahead and get a little bit of information about the historic Overtown presents Walk a Mile with a Child.
Well, I'm glad to be here. I'm Dr. Cheryl Holder. I'm the president of the Florida State Medical Association and also treasurer of the James Wilson Bridges Medical Association. Now, all those associations are part of the National Medical Association, which are the black physicians in America. A lot of people don't know that back in 1895, when we were formed, blacks were not allowed to be part of the American Medical Association.
Kanye,
so the NMA
this is for you too.
More on that later.
Another alert. Yeah.
And to my right.
It's going to be one of them days. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Dr. Holder.
Yeah.
So, as you were letting us know that black people, not by choice, Kanye, couldn't be a part of, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so every state has a chapter.
Right.
And every state has local chapters. So the local group in Dade County and Broward County, Broward is called James Sistrunk, which is one of the first black physicians in Broward.
Right.
And in Dade, it's James Wilson Bridges Medical Society. He was one of the first OBs at Jackson Memorial Hospital, one of the first OB gynecologists in the state that's really did a lot for our community. So we've honored both those physicians. And what we do is the Dr. Nelson Adams Walk a Mile with a Child. Now, Dr. Nelson Adams is an OB, and he was the past president of the National Medical Association. And a local doctor, he says he's a local boy that's done good. And he is from Overtown. And he has brought back to Overtown the walk for childhood obesity. We know that childhood obesity is the foundation for when we see so many other illnesses in adults. And right now, almost 20% of our kids are obese, not to mention the more that are overweight.
Right.
And if we could make a change and change that trajectory of a child who's overweight and obese, we can help decrease diabetes, high blood pressure, strokes, all the complications that we see in adulthood. So we have chosen obesity as the biggest issue that we feel that we can make an impact. And we didn't just want the kids involved, we want the families involved. So that's why we say walk a mile with a child, because it's not a child's problem, it's the family's problem, it's a community problem.
Right.
It's a whole lot more than just that child being overweight. And that's when we talk about the social determinants of health. And that's what we're about as an organization.
Well, that's a beautiful thing. So what can people expect at Walk a Mile with a Child?
Besides walking a mile.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's other things.
Yeah, there's so many things. Walking 1 mile is important, that we live it, we show it, we do it, we model it. So we could have done a 5K walk. We could have done so many things. But just pick up a kid, come on out, you can start walking. It's the simplest, cheapest exercise known, and we model it. So that's why we're out there. We have Booker T. Washington Band leading us through the neighborhood.
Oh, that's
That's exciting.
You get a chance to see the neighborhood and see the changes in Overtown. We highlight the important areas, Lyric Theater, St. John's Church, which was one of the earliest pretty much the only Art Deco building in Overtown. Then we come around and we'll see the Lyric Theater. We'll go the Greater Bethel, which is another very old church, one of the oldest churches, historic churches, was formed even before, I think, the city, right before the city was formed. Incorporated. So that's one of the other sites. So we give the history, and we try to have our kids understand what black folks did for Miami, that we chartered Miami. Where many of the signatures on the Charter of Miami were black. So we try and give them something to anchor, because as kids understand their history and have more to believe in, then they can make those steps to live a healthful life.
Yeah, Kanye. So that also includes a pop-up health and wellness fair. So you have a fit clinic, face painting, games, and fruits by Kendrick the Coconut Man.
Yeah, we always
that sounds
finish
delicious
up
and
with
fun.
Again, we're all about teaching and living, so we're not bringing junk. We're giving out water coconuts in a natural form, because kids only know cans. So we're bringing the actual fruits, water coconuts. We're giving lots of fitness examples of other ways to stay well. And so it's one morning of health and wellness, but not just watching and walking around like your traditional health fairs. We want you to get involved and be part of it and model that behavior.
Right. So beyond the walk, how else can people get involved with what you're doing?
Well, we do a lot of activities that support other organizations and programs. We raise funds and we support something called STEM Saturday, which is through FIU. We're in 13 communities. Every Saturday, we do science with the kids from September through May. So we're at Lemon City Library, North Miami Beach Library, JFK Library in Hialeah. We're in Miami Lakes Library. We're at the Fountain of New Life. We're in Liberty City at Mount Calvary. We're at in Opelika. So we're all over doing one Saturday, and we bring medical students and college students. James Wilson Bridges supports that activity. We support interns. We support programs at the Children's Place and different organizations that reach out to us. We do lectures. We'll do Speakers Bureau, and we do a summer internship where we bring pre-med students and we send them into communities to do this work. So for the year, and we give out scholarships. That's the other big thing that we do with scholarships for medical students. I have to let folks know.
Yeah.
They're always asking, where are the doctors? Why don't the doctors do this? There are less than 50,000 active black physicians in America.
Wow.
There are over 1 million white physicians, and there are 50,000 of us. So every time you look around for black docs, in terms of black women, we're under 2.5% of the black female population.
Goes into this whole thing when we talk about people think diversity inclusion is just in technology. It's in almost every sector.
Especially when you talk about STEM.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of our activities to bring that pipeline. So as the kids walk with us, we talk about going into medicine, and that's why we're on Saturdays in the community saying medicine, everyone can do it. You are smart enough to be a doctor. Now, do you have the resources to help you get there? Now, that's where we come in.
You can help.
We can help. But everybody is smart enough to be a doctor.
Right.
And so that's this Saturday, May 5th, 8 to 12 on Cinco de Mayo. So we walk the mile, then we go get drunk.
Right. Then it's margarita time.
Yeah, get it.
Lots of fruits in those margaritas.
Good
so
point.
I see Overtown CRA, Women of Hope, Chamberlain University, Circle of One, Merrill Lynch.
Sunshine Health, Centene. They have been with us for 10 years, and we have to give them a big shout out because without them we couldn't do this. And Keon Hardiman also has been with us. The Overtown CRA has been with us, St. John.
Overtown Youth Center, Baptist Health, South Florida.
Baptist Health, and the doctors, Essence OBGYN.
Essence OBGYN?
Yeah, lots of the doctors. And Dr. Nelson Adams, he's been there. He started this, and we're there.
Fantastic.
Well,
it's all
amazing.
happening at Gibson Park, 401 Northwest 12th Street in Miami, right in the heart of Overtown.
Be there, jwbms.org. If you can't walk with us, you can walk at home, but still send us your donation.
I will walk in spirit. I'm going to walk to the taco place.
Walk in spirit, and there's a place to donate.
I'm walking to Baja. I'm going to walk and walk the liquor. Well, I'm going to Uber back, but I'm going to walk there.
Right.
Exactly.
For people like Mike, it should be a way to digitally send your walking miles.
I'm going to walk it.
Actually, send us an email and show us that you walked NMA,
I will live stream my walk
JWBMS.
on Saturday.
Do what you got to do. do, but
Right.
send us that donation after you walk.
Oh, that's what it's about. That's what it's
Yeah.
There's
about.
the plug. That's what I was looking for. How do you support?
JWBMS.org. Any
Perfect.
amount we appreciate, because there's so many kids who want to be
Well, I
doctors.
got a bottle of tequila there, so I'll send what it would have cost me 2 tequila drinks, $24 plus. Okay, I got you.
Wow, that is 2 tequila drink is $24.
Depending on what kind of tequila you drinking.
Yeah. It depends.
I didn't know it was that high. That's
Yeah, it could be
ridiculous.
one drink.
But no, but
Yeah.
South
Okay,
Beach.
listen, we'll take one drink. So
Oh,
if you
gotcha.
donate one drink
$10.
That's a good idea.
We'll take it. One drink. JWBMS.org.
to your publicist, good idea for social media.
Yeah, save a
One
drink, help a
save
child.
Right.
Wow.
Well, Doc, thank you very much,
Yes.
and we appreciate you coming on, and we'll make
All
sure this
right.
gets out. You guys make sure you support her this Saturday at Get
Right.
Some Bar.
Thank you. I'm so
Thank you so
proud of
much.
you young people doing
All right,
this.
thank you.
you.
All right, guys, quick intermission while we bring up Cardi B.
Okay.
Hold on a second. All right, so we're back.
Just like that.
So, you know, you leave the kids to play, they forget certain things. So, to our sponsors, to the Knight Foundation, Cosmology,
Right. Who got stock now?
Timeline Brewery, Junction Halls, I already said Cosmology, World Famous House of Mac, and Digital Grass.
Pop Soul.
Yeah, and Pop Soul Popcorn. That's in the trunk. I forgot to get it popping. Left it in the trunk. Moving weight. So, if you ladies could, we did this on purpose. So Misha's gonna act really professional. She carries the great last name of Hall, and it's Willmeisha, not Misha Hall. Call her by her full name.
Oh,
And then we have Carla Mays, and Carla is West Coast. It's gonna be kind of weird because Carla is probably just as crunk, if not more crunk, than Misha is. But they're kind of polar opposites when it comes to the things they're. Just the approach. It's gonna make sense.
It'll reveal itself.
It'll come out through the
Over
show.
the show.
But
Yeah.
just know this
Don't try
setup
to
was
don't
on
try to
purpose.
explain it.
Yeah.
Just let it reveal itself.
So if you ladies could, Carla, 2 minutes. I know you, because we got a lot to talk about today. So if you guys could give us like a little 2-minute intro about who you are, what you're doing, that avoids us having to talk about it, and we can talk about other things. Since you are our guest and traveled
Visitor.
over, you're a visitor,
Yeah.
we'll let you go first.
Okay. So my name is Carla Mays. I have the pleasure of working with Michael Caballero and David Capelli, where we started Tech Miami. No, Tech Miami. Started working with Tech Miami, and with Smart Cohort,
Okay.
which came out of Singularity. I was an Impact Fellow there. We ended up Smart Cohorts. Miami branch is Smart Miami.
Okay.
We work on smart and equitable city development and resiliency here in Miami. So we did the first cohort of eco districts, making sure that the communities that are here in Miami that is representative in design and build. So we've been fortunate enough to be in Overtown, in Little Haiti, Allapattah, the heart of the community, and making sure that folks can be able to build and develop and be a part of this, the prosperity that's here. So I have a company, Mays Civic Innovation, based in San Francisco, advising and researching on smart cities.
Okay.
So really, my number one goal is to make sure that people that live in the community are part of the community and a part of its prosperity, and working on technology and smart infrastructure. So basically, a lot about the infrastructure. You've got Brightline coming. You've got a lot of the transit-oriented developments, and then we've got a lot of Green Crow, which is a lot of issues around the old Jim Crow, the old.
Oh, no, don't unpack
I was
that.
gonna
yet.
say,
We'll
save
get back
that
to it.
for
We're gonna
later.
Say that part.
Say that.
Yeah.
I'm putting it down.
Yeah.
Green
And then-
Crow.
You got it?
I'm putting it down.
It's in the
I had to
notes.
get my
It's
Green
in
Crow
the, it's
in
in the
there.
notes
Crow.
twice. In the notes twice. All right, let's go, Cardi. I
Oh
mean,
gosh,
Misha.
it's Misha. Hi, I'm Willmeisha Hall. I am the program manager. Come on, Michael. I'm the program manager for New Me Accelerator.
New me?
As many of y'all may know or may not, I'll remind you, New Me Accelerator was the first accelerator around for minorities, for black and brown people like us.
That's right.
And to date, we have raised over $43 million.
That's right.
All right. And
a
that's
good
all you
number.
gonna say, huh?
Yeah.
Well,
Tell
you is.
Angela I said hello. I was with them.
She's watching. I mean,
In
it's live.
2010, I was with them at Hub San Francisco, so got a
Nisha
chance
is
to watch
now
that
a
for
film production specialist, content production specialist. We're going to get into that, though.
That's right.
So I think we should jump to the Green Crow.
Yeah, just go ahead.
Let's go ahead and get
Right, just answer that.
Let's go ahead and tell us. It's on the notes
Unpack
twice.
that, unpack that.
Unpack the Green Crow statement that you made.
We checking it off.
Yeah, we're
Go.
checking it off and let's go. It's on you.
So, you know, so Green Crow is basically where Jim Crow left off, and it's modern day. So all the sea level rise, the resiliency.
We needed the popcorn for today. It's
I
fine.
know.
all of this stuff. You know, I come from San Francisco. We got a lot of issues in San Francisco, as everybody might know. Now we're seeing folks pop up here in Miami talking about resiliency, talking about green building and stuff like that, but really not honoring the history that got Miami to be where it's at.
You better say that again.
Okay, so we have to be very, very careful when we look at, you know, the freeways that came in and that divided over town from downtown Miami. And then we went back, you know, a year and a half ago and we built Brightline with a wall
Another
that
wall.
was just as tall. Okay.
She from San Francisco, y'all, and she dropping gems.
So
Bars, straight bars.
what we're talking about is we've got all these transit-oriented development stations that are on the Brightline Trail that literally go from here to Palm Beach, and then we'll go all the way when it's finished up to Orlando.
Then to
These-
Jacksonville and Tampa.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we've got these
I know,
stations that are
Mama
built
Sam.
in
Yep.
primarily communities of color, priority development areas, and there's not a lot of folks that are on project. Okay, whether it's the new, where we're talking about the actual trains themselves, they couldn't be built here. They had to be built in Sacramento, where we actually had minority businesses and folks that were trained to be on projects so they could get federal assistance to do that. So when we're talking about
So basically, we didn't have enough talent here to actually build the train.
we didn't have enough certified folks
talent.
in things. So at Smart Miami, what we do is we focus on eco districts, training folks how to be, you know, professionals, accredited professionals for these projects, and making sure that the pipeline of these new projects match up with the people that live here.
See, it's funny you say that because I was, you know how you get the flashback, the memory things on Facebook? 2013, this day in 2013, I had made a post when we would realize that certifications are more valuable than degrees. And it seems like we have realized that 5 years later, because there are six-figure jobs that are nothing but certifications, don't require a college degree, but yet we still have a generation that's trying to just push kids and say, you got to go to college, you got to go to college. But there's all kind of certification jobs, and it seems like you're speaking of that right now.
Well, not exactly.
Okay.
So let me kind of peel this back. We've got a lot of folks here in Miami that are black and brown and women and LGBT that are architects and planners. And
Hold on,
they went
before
to
we go,
school-
hold on,
Yeah.
before you do that. Is Miami to you, Miami as in the region, when you see, coming from San Francisco, when you see Miami, are you looking at
Tri-County?
the Tri-County, or are you
Or-
looking just at like Miami
No,
proper?
I'm looking at Tri-County,
Okay.
and I'm also looking at, you know, we'll get into it probably later, doing a lot of hurricane work, right? On hurricane recovery and
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
So
'cause-
we're looking at, so Dade has its own issues, as we all know. So I look at it as, you know, I'm an urbanist. So I break it up into, you know, the different counties and what we're dealing with, the different types of infrastructure, smart infrastructure that's going in, and then the folks that live there, the companies that are there, who, you know, who's on project. And what really has made me sad is that there's been so many people that graduated from college. They did everything right, and they can't seem to get money for their businesses. They can't seem to get the jobs. And so what we have done at Smart Miami is to make sure that it's these kind of designations that literally take either 1 to 6 weeks, and then they take their test, and then they can be qualified for multi-million dollars of projects. And so we're, really happy that we did our first eco district, but it shouldn't take a year to do another one. And in making sure that folks on project, that they are, getting these contracts. Because the one thing we have to make sure is that there's contracts, there's board positions in corporate boards, there's folks that are at high levels, and that these are equally distributed, and that resiliency means for everybody. Resiliency is not some kind of cloak and dagger word about, some folks, what it means. It means social equity. It means going and rewriting the wrongs that have been done to folks.
So hold on.
Right.
Speaking of social equity, and people might wonder when I brought this up and I called Misha the Cardi B of tech. I met Misha about a year and a half ago. First of all, I call it just watch Misha's Facebook page and them Instagram photos with that modeling set she be doing every day. And it's just, it was about to come up. That's why I called Misha that. Misha, 18 months ago, I might be off a little bit, was at Digital Citizen just deciding she was going to get into technology. Within 12 months, Misha was filming a documentary with us in Malawi. Within those 12 months, she also became the assistant to Angela Bitton and now a program director. That's what we call putting people on.
That's right.
That's what we call making moves. So when you hear these conversations, and I know, Misha, you've been a lot more involved with the online, your, I guess, ideation accelerator. So,
Yeah, the idea accelerator.
yeah, idea accelerator. So for you to be, you were born and raised here, right?
Yes.
That's
Born and raised in Miami.
local.
Local.
And making those kind of moves, which we're very proud of you to be doing that. You see the lack of inclusion that we have here, and you've had to do a lot on your own, Kanye. So
All day.
now that you've been
Shots,
able,
pow, 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 pow.
now that you've been able to make these moves, how do you feel and what do you see? Because it seems like this issue still relates back to STEM, no matter what.
Yes.
So what are you seeing these days?
So the whole inclusion thing, I'm not saying it, to be quite honest. And
Let's be real.
Let's be real. I'm really not saying it. And it's not because the people don't want to be a part of it. It's just
Kanye.
It's just that they don't know. So awareness is still a big deal.
A big issue.
And for those of us that's in it, we try our hardest. Hence, we have this platform.
That's right.
To get it out there to that audience, but it's still, they still don't feel included. And that's why I do feel like someone like myself is very important, because I have people that talk to me and they say, I don't really know about tech, but it's something about you that make it seem easy.
Right, which is what I was going to say. So while he was
It's a
shading you a
compliment.
little bit by those photos,
I wasn't. No, it's the real. It's the real. That's
I'm
the
messing
first.
with you. But I'm saying, but because
80
you do
photos
that
for
on
3
your
of them.
social media, it allows people to feel.
Y'all can't keep hitting me up here, man.
It allows people
Me
to
too.
feel a certain way,
Yes.
and they're like, you're approachable.
Yes.
I see myself in you, and I can see myself in tech because you're there.
I hear it all the time.
Them 2 permanent goals and them wigs. I mean, that's the part that make people feel accepted. But it's just.
But it's all.
I've been
but you're
gone for
right.
a week, y'all. I've been gone. I missed it.
Obviously.
But y'all gotta understand, Misha is my girl. So Misha was with us working the 3rd camera
Yeah.
for us filming
The interview.
the interviews,
Yeah.
for Angela Benton. And
Yeah.
it was literally, Misha's just naturally inquisitive. She wants to learn. She wants to know. She
Yeah.
wasn't even looking to hang around Angela to actually work for her. She just wanted to learn more because Misha was going to go try to make her own accelerator. So you got to understand, Misha was just like, oh, we can do this. I was
Right.
like, no, Misha.
Got this.
It's a lot more money involved. She was like, you sure? I just want to meet her. It went from a picnic table to the office room. I remember this.
Yeah.
It was a vivid. So I'm like honored to have Misha here because she did defy the odds, but you do make it comfortable for some people.
Yeah, I definitely do.
Because you make
And-
everybody dance. I seen you at the gala. By the way, Misha at the Beacon Council. I still ain't got an invite to the Beacon Council gala. Mika was at the Beacon Council gala, got everybody dancing. I'm like, where is she? And I'm like, oh, that's the Beacon Council. So I think it is your natural persona, but it's also because you want to give back to others.
Yes,
It's a very unselfish nature.
That's definitely a big deal for me. You know, my DMs. My whole thing is about like, how can I help you? You know, I still have people that call me and come by the office, and I'm like, or wherever I'm at, like wherever you want to meet at. You know, I'll meet you where you're at, and it's like, let's talk about how to get you included into tech. But let's have a real conversation. Where where you're currently at now. What do you need? What numbers are you looking to make? You know, what works for you? Things like that. And for me personally, I didn't really grow up in a world of entrepreneurship. I slowly started learning it, and I became aware of it. But, you know, this whole tech field, I wasn't really a part of it. I didn't feel a part of it. Yeah. But one day I was like, you know what? I'm going to get into that industry. I don't know how. I don't know when, but I'm about to get into it.
So what was it that gave you that, like, I'm going to just do it? Because some people will, like, have the thought and then just sit on it and be like, I'm going to just go to work. Like, I'm not going to do that.
Well, back in 2000.
Because Misha was working and still doing it.
Right.
Well, back in 2015, I had got laid off from a job. They laid all us off. And immediately I just started doing all these different gigs. Like, I would call people I know.
Gig economy is serious.
And I would call people I know, and I'd be like, oh, you have an office? You need somebody to do your research. I'll do your research for you. Like, I started creating all my own gigs.
So you just started making jobs.
I just started making jobs.
All right.
But in the midst of making jobs, I realized I had this love for marketing online. I had this thing for starting stuff online. Like, I got more into being online because I wasn't doing my traditional work for my 9 to 5. I was in my own, you know, I was in my own space of doing things. But then I was like, well, I want to learn more about this tech stuff. And that's when I got started with Digital Citizen. Shout out to Valencia. Which she's also someone that's big in the community.
That's right.
And you know, to know someone like that that's giving back to the community and align yourself with someone that feels the same way you feel, it just worked. The universe answered my prayers, to be quite honest.
So
that's cool.
I think like you've broke a lot of stereotypes, and Valencia Gundia out there killing it, doing her thing.
Absolutely.
And you're a hard worker yourself. There's a stereotype though, Carla, that comes with Miami, where people think just like slaves, we were lazy. And we had a choice, Kanye.
No.
No. And people
if
don't
slave
realize.
was a choice. Hashtag.
Well, I'm gonna rip you up in today's ignorance. So just when you see someone like Misha and you've met, and I remember we worked with you when you were starting to come here and when Dave was working.
That's right.
How's the energy been for you though for the things you're trying to accomplish while you've been down here? You could be honest.
It's very like I mean. Dave can tell you today, like, you know, we've been really, I was crying earlier. Oh. And I was really mad because it was like, everybody down here is doing it. And there are some old forces from way back.
Can we call them out?
That,
no.
No.
Don't do that on our,
I'm just saying.
I got to get home tonight.
There's some old forces down here that really prevent folks from really taking it to the next level.
But the funny thing is old new forces, because this city isn't even 100 years old.
Right.
It's a young city.
It's a young city with a lot of green crow. Okay? So, I mean...
Green crow is a t-shirt.
You know, there is a lot of, you know, there's a lot of pushback. And there's so many people entrepreneurial, and then there's like a glass ceiling or a green ceiling that's starting to come, and you know, we had this talk back in 15, you know, when we did the first program, Mike, talking about, you know, the idea of Miami being a springboard. And it needs to be, if we're saying that, you know, Mayor Jimenez and everything is saying that this is going to be this is a world-class city and that it's budding into that, and Mayor Suarez, then we actually have to, like, deal with some of the elephants in the room.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, the redlining and the situation where folks are cut off from capital for their ventures. We don't want folks to have to leave Miami to be able to do something, or have to bring, you know, like when Dave wanted to do, you know, started doing Tech Miami, he'd go to West Coast and we have to spend all this time, him going to the West Coast, bringing somebody like me. There should be somebody like me right here, and there should be access to capital, access to things to be able to grow companies here. and not needing so much of the outside influences. And then when you want to come back and you want to invest, invest locally, like Dave and Mike have been doing. It's like they have a hard time trying to invest locally because there are forces that make it hard. So what needs to happen is there needs to be not loans, because there's too many loan products.
Yes.
There needs to be more grants. There needs to be more working on, everybody talks about ecosystem. I've been here a while now. So this whole talk about the ecosystem. And then there's these myths of Silicon Valley and San Francisco that then
that's a whole nother show.
Yeah.
We need you and Brian Burkeen to talk about that.
Talk about that.
There's
unpack
a myth.
all of that.
We don't, on the West Coast, we help each other. Okay,
Right.
we fund each other, we house each other, we make Silicon Valley.
It's a
work.
community.
Okay.
Yeah.
This kind of thing where you're bowling alone and that you got this and you don't want to work with people, you're not gonna scale anything. And so there needs to be more of mentorship, funding, housing.
You had the preacher rock.
I'm over here like,
You had the rock.
These are the things we say.
Yeah.
right.
Sometimes people need to hear from somebody else outside the circle.
Yeah, and no more BS about what we do in Silicon Valley. That those of us in Silicon Valley have never seen the damn show.
Right.
Okay.
It's a romanticized idea of what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a family.
Right.
It's a family, and what we need to do here in Miami is make sure that the family's taken care of.
I got you. So we're gonna go ahead and reintroduce our segment. So we have
Right.
These Streets by Toya.
These streets. So last week on These Streets, I talked about Kanye being in the second place, right? So shots been fired at Kanye all week, all day today. And Mike's going to handle that in a second. But for These Streets this time, I want to give a shout out to Sean King. If you guys don't know who Sean King is, he is like killing it when it comes to bringing people to accountability when it comes to domestic terrorism. So on Twitter, all across social media, he's the one who's finding faces of those who are involved in the whole Charlottesville situation and naming those people. So today, another situation happened where some cops were basically kicking the face of someone who was detained already and handcuffed. So Sean was like, these people, I'm gonna find their names. So I just wanted to give a whole shout out to him because what's happening, everyone's talking about the whole police brutality and the fact that it's been happening all this time, but now it's at a height because we're able to see it now. We see it on social media, we see it being filmed. But us seeing it being filmed, Rodney King's situation was caught on camera. And what happened with that? It's not about it being caught on camera. It's about what happens afterwards.
Absolutely.
And if we don't make these people be held accountable for their actions, it'll continue to be filmed and they will continue to be let off. So we need to continue to empower and allow people like Sean King to do their work. And that was my These Streets.
Are you talking about the incident that happened here?
Yeah, happened
Yeah.
here this morning. Yeah, happened in Miami.
Right in the,
Yeah.
Oh, they fired him?
Yeah, they fired him. They got him
Finally.
quick.
Which is good. Which is good.
Yeah. You don't want that smoke in Miami.
No,
Right.
You got to be like Sacktown.
Right.
You know what I mean? You
Nah,
know.
they know it's slow. It's summertime. Money's slow right now. You do
Right.
not want any more incidents to mess up your money right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Shout out to Miami getting it popping. They don't want that smoke.
Right. We got enough.
Shout out to Sacktown.
Yes, yes.
And to Black Lives Matter in Sacktown too.
All right. So, online accelerators and idea accelerators, Misha. I'm gonna say that's a great thing that you and Angela have put together. But how has that been helping, and why does it still seem like maybe the involvement we need, even just in Miami? Because one thing Angela has always said that I've always appreciated is that Miami is her base, her headquarters, but it's not the extent of how she makes her money. She's an international person. It's just where she lives. She lives in Miami, but it's not the extent of where she stops doing business. So how much has the online accelerator been able to expand you guys' reach? Because I'm just assuming it's just making everything much faster and much more powerful.
The online accelerator actually, it's a thing not for us. is for the entrepreneurs. Most entrepreneurs are not able to just get up and travel and come here. So to have that online, it makes it better for the entrepreneurs no matter where you're at. If you're in Seattle, you know, if you're in Ohio, if you're even in Miami.
Yeah, because just traveling them hour and a half, that traffic could be like,
Yeah,
you know what? I'm going to have to miss today's session.
Right. I'm virtually attending.
You know, and then, you know, also just the time. And some people work best on their time. It's scheduling for that person. It allows them to go at their pace. It's a lot of information on there, to be quite honest. I sometimes revisit it just because it's very, 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 like, she put so much effort into that when it came to the actual entrepreneur. Some of the feedback we get is just, it's magnificent. When you hear and you see these emails, because you can just feel the emotions through the emails when the people are like, you know, thank you for this. This is what I needed. It's like they get a piece of Angela.
It's nothing better than getting that pivot that
cool.
saves your life.
That's right.
Because some people are continuously going down the wrong path. And speaking of the wrong path,
Oh, and he looks over at me.
no, because you talked about it.
Yeah.
Residential sponsor space, the actual property development in South Florida.
Yes.
We were, right before we got on air,
Yeah.
we saw the whole micro units, micro apartments.
Right. We were talking
Jail
about
cells.
Yeah, 350 square feet for
Right.
$300,000 in
That's
Miami.
when the tiny living goes wrong.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you
So-
just can't tiny live.
No.
You
We
just
know
can't
that
tiny live all the
no,
time.
no.
So we know that people are going crazy and committing suicide on the West Coast, living in somebody's closet for about
Yes,
$80,000
in a
a
jail
month.
cell.
Why do we keep replicating failed? Because
That's what I
somebody
said.
said a quote. I can't
Yes.
remember the quote.
Yeah.
But the quote was, "We don't need new technology. We need new business ideas.
Yeah.
We need new business models. The technology is there. It's the business model. So why are we replicating failed models when we already know they're not going to work?"
Well, you got some leaders in that right here. I'm not going to.
Now I do want to start saying.
Can we name some names
Now
this
we
time?
need names. Now we
Can we
need
name
names.
some names?
You know, so what it is, you know, we've got to change here in Miami, start investing in Miamians, okay? As I'm, you know, you know, with Michael and Dave, we're constantly fighting for folks to stop talking about what's going on in Latin America, what's going on in Europe, and keep talking and look at Miamians. Miamians have the answers to solving these problems. They're generational. You know, they know what they need. You know, the saddest thing was we were putting our first cohort together for Smart Miami, and we realized that practically all the folks of color that were applying were architects, planners, general contractors. They were everything that everybody said wasn't here. And they had gone to college. They did everything right. And nobody was looking at them because they were looking at some model that came from somewhere else that was already pretty flawed. Okay? The issue is everything is local. All politics is local. Money that needs to be cycled needs to be cycled locally. The problems that we need to solve are local. So therefore, the idea of looking somewhere else, and what needs.
So hold on, I want to make sure, because for our followers, a lot of this, and this is more so for we have viewers that come from North Carolina and New York, Chicago. This is when we're more so having that conversation about Miami being the gateway to South America. So you're more so speaking about why are you worried about fixing the gateway when you don't have the base in place?
That's right.
Okay.
And what we're talking about is these communities, like we talking about hurricane season. And so right now, we had to switch gears from talking about smart cities and resilient cities to talking about what is going on for this hurricane season that's coming up.
Oh, you mean like
You know,
that sea level rise that Rick Scott don't want to talk about? We're so happy to see you.
Well, I want to see some color
happy
on
to
the
see
sea
you.
level rise
The conversation.
on the committees.
Yeah.
We need to start seeing Miamians and the face of Miami represented in resiliency. Because resiliency, there's money in smart technology, in a climate adaptive technology. And that's where we, you know, at Smart Miami are really working on, is making sure that we have the certifications, that we have the right experts that are talking to folks,
Right.
and making sure that Miamians are on project. And so these are the things that we've been talking about with the mayors.
Right.
We've been trying to urge, Mayor Jimenez and Mayor Suarez to have equitable smart city initiatives. Dave's on the millennial board here in Dade County, and we've been saying, like, we want to serve this for you, but what we want to make sure is it's not somebody else from somebody is somewhere else, that the initiatives are focused on FIU and UM and FAU. We have sent $35 million to Harvard and other universities outside of this area without building the base for Miamians to take on these projects. Or it's not, or there's no, the doc was talking about scholarships
Right.
for Miamians to be at the institutions and to do the research. It's important to see folks in the community that they have money for the research and the incubators and their money to be able to do the capacity building for their
I would
organization.
just like to say, for you to be making the progress you've made over the last 3 years, I'm impressed, because I still have the pictures of the whiteboarding we did at the original Ecotech.
That's right.
When we were out there for
Yeah.
3 hours on a Saturday.
That's right.
So for you to have stuck with it and you're getting this far, I want to just say I'm very impressed. I'm very thankful for
Yeah.
it.
Well, I got to give it to Dave.
Dave was there too.
Dave Capelli has put $1 million from his family and them into this initiative.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Let's give that man a
right.
round of applause.
Most people don't.
Hey, I'm just saying, Dave, drinks on you. We need to go to House of Mac after this.
No,
Right.
No,
Right.
His family, because the things that we've been able to do is really attest to Dave and his resiliency.
To work, yeah, Dave. Yeah.
And saying, we have to stick with this. We got to go. We got to bring resources
Yeah.
back. We got to go to the Valley. We got to go to Harvard.
But I think another thing you're missing when we talk about inclusion,
Yeah.
ageism is one of those things. And
That's
Dave,
right.
you might be 26 at this point.
25.
25,
And
yeah.
just turned 25. He's on like
So that's
He's a fresh 25.
he's a fresh 25.
So
But
you
how
going
do
to
we, Carla, how do we get past the grass is greener mentality? Like, why do we feel the need to always look to New York, look to Silicon Valley? Like, how do we get past that?
Well, the real thing is we gotta start having folks do like Valencia, okay? We gotta start going. You gotta show up with Mayor Suarez. You gotta show up with Mayor Jimenez. You gotta go work with the Millennial Board of Dade County. You gotta go out and start working with the folks that with the brand new center, the Urban League new entrepreneurship center. And working with those folks up there in Broward.
So, I mean,
we got to start demanding, and people in their communities got to push back.
Right. So that goes to Misha. You, as I would say, the voice of the people. What are the things that you're hearing, and what are the fears they have that hold them back? Is it because they don't feel like their voice will be heard, or they just simply don't have access to know where to go have their voices heard at?
They don't feel welcome. It's that simple.
Because they don't see themselves?
They don't
or?
see themselves. They don't feel welcome.
Representation is everything.
It's definitely when I first started, I had that feeling. I remember going to Refresh Miami. It was at Miami-Dade College, and I walked in the room, and thank God,
Faces?
what is that?
Because I know what she's saying, and this because I'm saying that because go ahead. I'll just finish. I'll tell you why.
You're
Go ahead.
out there.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I remember walking in the room, and I'm like, I know me. I would talk to whoever. I'm friendly. I'll speak. But my classmates, they were all herded together around the table. They wasn't talking to people. They was
Right.
like, I don't know what to say to these people. All these people in tech. I was like, well, just say you a student. That's the beauty of just being in the class. Just say you a student. You don't supposed to know everything. But even those that I was in the class with didn't feel welcome in the space that we were invited to. So imagine me just going somewhere like in the Poker Beans, wherever, and I'm like, oh, come to this tech event, girl. Come with me, girl.
Right.
They're going to be like,
The
no.
face is because
Yes.
as much as we want to change things and we think things are changing, tech is just as segregated as Sunday churches. That's what's really going on. And my problem is there's Emerge Americas, but I don't know if anybody's ever been to South America, but 80% of those people in Brazil and these other countries are actually Afro-Latino.
That's right.
They
Yep.
look like us. So,
And they're not on TV.
right.
There's no
they're not
representation
seen on
in
TV,
media.
They're not represented. They're
Right.
not represented even in Cuba. So when you have these events that are supposed to represent the emergence of races and the emergence of culture, but it looks a particular way, we don't feel welcome. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny. I know LaToya, you went, but I didn't go. There's a reason why
I was invited,
go. Yeah.
but I was saying
I wasn't invited. I ain't go to emergence.
No, but I was gonna say to your point though, right? One of the things that I found was like I laughed and I chuckled inside. I don't know if anybody else did. One of the moderators for a panel, she was like a white lady. I forgot her name, but she was from Silicon Valley, and she had a panel of men, and she was like, "Oh, great to be on another panel with some men, white men at that." And she just took that was the first thing she said out of her mouth when she sat down on the stage. And it was just another point that this is Emerge Americas. You're talking about Latin America, and I have nothing but white men on this panel, and I'm the only female as the moderator. So what sort of diversity are we showing? How are we being inclusive?
We are.
And like you said, if Latin America is so, it's just as diverse as anything else. So why are we not seeing those shades? And even when you look at the panelists and the people who moderated at Emerge Americas, you may have had like, what, 3 black people? Leanne, I'm not going to name names, but you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, it was like 3 people.
I mean, normally when you talk about that event, I know Leanne and Jared Davis are the 2 black people I think of when I relate to that event. And outside of that, it's like, yeah, where y'all at? So all I'm saying is, it was a beautiful thing I saw in Philly, and myself, Dante, and David, we're going to do this project called the Hex Codes of Technology. And this young lady, she did this project. She was from Brazil, and the basis of her project was the Pantone colors that we represent.
Yep.
And her whole thing was she was trying to teach kids, and she was going into the ideology, there really is no black and white. We're all different hues. We're all different shades. There is actually no black and white, and you should see yourself to fit in. But I stopped going to conferences for exactly what we're talking about. They're just as segregated. Conferences are about as cliquish as a high school prom dance.
But you know, conferences are different outside. I mean, in the Valley.
It's like everybody that went to Collision. Collision in New Orleans was popping the first year. Collision in New Orleans right now is trash.
But New Orleans, why is that? It's
because you don't invite the people in New Orleans, because you got all those black people that are struggling. You ain't inviting them in.
Exactly.
You know what? Until you bring the people in to make them feel welcome, it'll be that way.
But we gotta talk about the issues that go on within the black tech community.
We talk about it, but they don't communicate it. The thing is,
when you get like, I've gotten on the wrong side of many people around here in Miami.
But you're supposed to make people uncomfortable.
You gotta ruffle some feathers.
And the wrong side of folks, because in the Valley we just call it. Because if you spending cash like what we doing, and
but
we
in the Valley, in the Valley y'all call it, but y'all still got them long wavy head light skinned girls running as y'all diversity officers that ain't really doing nothing.
But the thing is, if you really in it, if you D&I, okay. I'm on the product side and on the innovation.
But you're a whole different person.
That's right.
But you can't represent the West Coast without calling out what the West. Look,
but most of those folks don't.
Look, they traveling. They ain't got no voting power. Yeah. They just look pretty and they go to a whole bunch of conferences.
But what I'm saying is, that's not real in the real sense of what we do, and that's not like. So what I'm saying is D&I and a lot of folks, like when you peel it back, when you're with us, like when you're in Berkeley and you're on the research side, research and product development side, that's a whole different animal.
It is.
But
we will have to talk about that on a whole different time.
Totally. But what we really got to talk about, you said the culture. Culture dictates everything. I can tell you how many times I've had talks with Knight. And I love Knight, and I love them for sponsoring.
Yes, we love Knight Foundation.
We love you.
Yes.
But
don't stop.
Don't mess up our money.
We're not messing up your money.
Hey.
I'm not talking. What I'm
edit that part out.
But we're talking about.
Thank you, Raul. Thank you, Matt.
We're talking about cities, right?
Right.
And we're talking about cultures
of
cities, and we're talking about big major funders that are pushing a tech culture.
They need to hear a different story, though.
What it is, when on our team we're deliberate. Whether Mike, we are hyper diverse,
right?
And we come to it. We have to normally have coming to Jesus moments with our own folks.
Because you got to bring them together.
And we talk about this. you know, Mike is like the holder of culture because Dave, he got to control Dave and I. You know, we have to have somebody that controls us because when you're innovative, you push envelopes. And you also make sure that you are solving a problem.
Okay, I don't want to stop you, but we're going to have to wrap up because we got to do some quick 6 with
Totally.
you guys. So that's a good segue for today's ignorance. I know, David, you've been waiting for this. Hold on. It's going to start like a rap person. Mr. West.
Mr. West, Mr. West. Lots has changed over a week, dude.
400 years sounds like it was a choice. The thing is, I am going to allow you to live, and I'm going to move past you. I'm actually not going to address you today. What I'm going to address is those that are trying to defend Kanye West online. You are today's ignorance. Mm-hmm. Defending Kanye, and actually at this point, Kanye's name stands for the only one, the unique one. So I'm just going to call him Ye because that ignorance is not unique. To defend Ye with a quote from Killmonger, from Black Panther, you are today's ignorance. Bondage was better than being a slave. I get that. I see where you guys are trying to go. But I want you to take that same attitude and go to a person that is Jewish and tell them that they could have avoided the Holocaust.
That's right.
I want you to go take that same language to a Native American and told them they could have kept their land.
That's right.
I want you to go tell that to those that were marching that I am a man and tell them that they were more than 3/5 of a man. That's actually written into our actual legislation and laws. Mm-hmm. I want you to tell that to the women that couldn't vote. I want you to tell that to my grandmother that has places she shouldn't go into.
That's right.
Don't try to defend the ignorance of a man with a damn comic book. It's a script. It's a movie. This is real life. This man has consequences for those that believe in him and those that follow him. Your ignorance is not accepted. Your ignorance is not appreciated. Free thinking versus being stupid are just two different things.
That's right.
To be free is to relieve yourself. Free thinking was diversity and inclusion. Free thinking was the National Bar Association to do something for black lawyers. Free thinking was for minorities to get into engineering. Free thinking was for Tuskegee University, FAMU University, HBCUs. Free thinking was not when that idiot woman said that the best thing came for HBCUs because they had a choice. No, we made HBCUs because we didn't have a choice to go to white universities.
Right.
There is a difference between being free and being entrapped and enslaved and being feared of your life. Remember what happened at the Buck Farms. Remember how black men were just broken down to a point of shame from the power of a white man. I do have white friends. I still appreciate white people, but let's just get something clear. There's never been a point where a white man has had fear in the United States of America. They wrote the laws, they took the lands, they controlled the lands. That fear only came from those becoming as powerful as them and as intelligent of them. That's why you have the situation we have now with Little Orange Man. Don't put us in a position. I was listening to Kanye's album, The Life of Pablo, on the way here. I miss you, Kanye. I really want to say you've accomplished two things. National Masturbation Month and National Health Awareness Month. You have jacked off, and we know you are crazy. You represent both of these months. Get help, sir. If y'all might remember, it was about a month and a half ago, we had a whole discussion about the power of a man with the support of the woman behind him. Mm-hmm. I won't say much about a Kardashian, but I will say between Lamar Odom, Ray J, and everything else that has happened to a person that is big, all the way down to Black China. Look, man, if you thought you was fat, you should have just worked out. You can afford a trainer. You lost your mother to liposuction.
Why would you do it?
Why would you travel down that path? Why would you do that to yourself? Nobody's checking for you like that. You already married, son. Just make music. And the last thing, people quit calling a man a genius when his primary talent is sampling other people's music. Miles Davis was a genius. Pablo Picasso was a genius.
Bootsy Collins.
Bootsy is a genius. The originals, but you can't call a person a genius just because they sample other people. There's not. Prince was a genius.
That's right.
All right? I don't even give it to him as much as he might have messed up. Quincy Jones, that's a genius. Those were the people creating and making unique sounds. Kanye's whole career was based off of sampling and speeding up old school sounds. He wasn't making anything original. I want you guys to quit trying to do. I don't care if this is a publicity stunt for you to sell records, my dude. You've messed up. You've messed up. You've went too far. Trump running for office was a publicity stunt. You see where this got us at. Now, with that being said, some of the quick topics to go with that. Rudolph. Yeah. Mr. Gilliard, I just want to say thank you for snitching on your boy on Fox Friends and News. If you guys haven't watched that, we just appreciate knowing exactly what you did with Stormy Daniels. If you don't know what I'm talking about, take the time to do the research. Rest in peace, Twitter. For those that are ultimately upset that Twitter has suspended the ACC account for not crediting photos, it's always been about money for Twitter. Jack Dorsey let y'all know who he was. This man don't care about racism and hate. He ain't about to suspend no accounts because he going to brace that off of First Amendment rights and you can speak all the hate you want to. But you mess with somebody money, they will shut your accounts down. And last but not least, to the Miami Bright Line. For the young black man that y'all had to hire to hold a stop sign up in front of the train track so people know not to try to outrun the train. I'm so glad y'all gave somebody a job.
But not that one.
But not that one.
But this is a cultural thing in local hire.
That's not
I told you we gotta have some folks at the top. We gotta have some folks at the top.
That's not the job we need to get to
No, it's
somebody.
not. No, it's
That's what I'm remarking
Put that
about.
brother inside of there and teach him how to run them damn trains.
Right.
Holding the stop sign like he doing this for little kids crossing the
Right.
street.
This way.
Not the business, but that's gonna be it for today's ignorance. So I think we should close them out with the
We're going to do a quick six?
quick six. So ladies, Misha, you know this from watching it. Carla, I'm telling you this because I know you have a great voice. About 4 or 5 words. These are quick responses. Don't overthink them. Say whatever first comes to your mind, okay?
Michael's worried over there. I'm watching him. he already he's saying you messing with the money.
He did the whole cross and everything.
So, first thing is going to be, if you guys had to pick a song to represent you as a person right now, which song would that be?
I'm every woman.
That was good. Misha? Yeah, well, which version?
Shaka Khan.
She got you. Challenge. Finish him.
A song to represent me.
Girl, all them things I seen you dancing to, you better pick one of them songs.
But then it's gonna seem
Just
like
say it.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Gut. What's your gut say? What's your gut
The
say?
judgment-free zone.
Right.
Cardi, my best friend.
That's what it is.
If money was no object and you could do anything in the world, what would it be?
I want to be a VC.
If money wasn't an object,
Yes.
Yes.
I could do anything. I don't know, just make everybody else rich.
That's right.
All right.
That'll work. Look.
That's right.
So this is going to be a new one. If you could change one thing in your past. One thing. You could go back and
That's
change
hilarious.
one moment in your past. What would you change?
I probably would have married my ex.
Oh.
Interesting. We gotta have a talk.
That got heavy.
About that or something.
Well
We
damn.
didn't know that. What's the story there?
I know, right? If I would, one thing would be, I would have got into tech earlier.
Okay.
If you could travel to any place in the world, where would you go?
I know I want to go to Greece.
Bali.
Bali. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
You want to go? I want to close it out.
Sure. So this one's a little bit different, but I'm going to throw it at y'all because both of you guys are about solutions and the city and everything like that. How can we make, when we're talking about black issues, how can we include South Dade? Everything tends to center around Liberty City, Miami Gardens, but never ever about Perrine, Richmond Heights, and down south.
And it gets no blacker than that.
Right.
That's right. That's
This can be a full sentence. You don't have to make this one short.
Well, I think what we need to do is we need to have our own venture fund and a venture philanthropy fund that is focused on, buying up our communities, building up our communities, and investing in Black Wall Street. We need more of a philosophy around that, and stop telling people and giving them that pat on the back that I feel like I want to catch a case every time somebody gives me one of those. It's like we need to really help folks. And I mean mentor, fund, employ.
Nice.
I like that.
One would argue that those things are already happening. It's not true. But one would say, well, we have mentorship programs and we have funding, we have this available. What do you mean they're not coming out to get it? Me personally, it's just more boots on the ground. It's more Valencia's in the South Dade region. It's more not,
And it's more funding Valencia to do
to
her
fund
work.
Valencia.
That's
Y'all
right.
get that? Let's fund
That's
Valencia,
fun.
please.
Because
make
I was
sure
talking
that
to
happens.
Valencia on Saturday. Valencia needs us to help her with
She
the
needs
hurricane.
a whole staff, like a whole
with the hurricane
team, a
prep.
whole staff, all of that good stuff.
She needs $1.5 million.
I say two.
Two. I want to see
Fundraising
Valencia.
right
Let's make
now.
it five. Let's make it $5 million.
We got an auction going.
$5 million for Valencia. $5 million
Right, a
for
whole
Valencia.
auction. Right, who got it?
You got
That's
$6 million
That's
for
right.
That's
Valencia.
what's up.
We believe in you,
Our
Valencia.
sister needs us right now, and we need
Yeah.
to get out there. We don't need to see any more videos of her out there by herself. If she's out there by herself, we're doing something wrong. She wants to get some space at Panways. That space needs to be paid for, 5 years paid for, and it needs to be stocked.
And we need one in Miami, South Dade, and
Right.
in
You
Broward.
got it.
All right.
You got it.
So
And we need to be out there every week doing that when we're not at our jobs and not doing that. We need to be with her, raising money, getting stocked up, and making sure that this next hurricane season does not climate gentrify all of our communities off the face of the map here.
Yeah.
all right. So I guess for my last question, in lieu of losing Bill Cosby, I'm not going to even get into the Bill Cosby conversation. But in lieu of,
Right, I'm gonna say you want to
losing
add
Bill-
another hour?
Nah. If you could pick one show to bring back, which show would you bring back? One TV show.
TV show. Oh, La Feminaquita.
Okay, wouldn't have thought that one. That's interesting.
That wasn't on the.
Oh, another story, by the way. I used to want to be
Right,
that
that's another
grown-up.
side conversation.
You know what? Rosewood. I'm upset that Rosewood
Oh, yeah,
only got
Rosewood
3
is
seasons
good.
because I was loving it. Even though they were shooting it in Long Beach, you need to be shooting it here in Miami.
Right.
But I loved Rosewood.
So the reason why we are going to use that as the closeout is because I want a lot of people to understand Bill Cosby did represent a lot of the stuff that Dr. Huxtable represented in real life. He did a lot for HBCUs.
Yep.
He did a lot for the community. He gave a lot. We have the tendency when a black man does something to ostracize him only to the things that he's done wrong, to remove any greatness that he's accomplished. When I don't see anybody saying that Harvey Weinstein and all his movies have to be pulled off of Netflix and everything else. The way that you're ostracizing this man is valid. What he did to women was wrong. But what he did for our community was also impactful, and he did a lot of good. If anybody from NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox is watching this, just bring back another version of The Different World so people can see what it was like to be black in college. They could see what it was like to work together. They could see when Dwayne told Whitney they were going to go home and work it out because they weren't going to lose that relationship and show what black love looked like. If you want to bring something back, take away all this trash TV and reality TV and make me a different version of Different World. I want to see what positive love looks like in a much better way. and quit highlighting us. We know why you got rid of Public Enemy. We know why you got rid of Real Rap, because you needed to find a way to put poison back into our community. You couldn't do it with a war on drugs, so now you're doing it through music. We are positive. This is Tech Beats and Bytes, and we appreciate you guys for coming out.
All right. Woo!